Hi, this is Morley, and this is the M-Wire. We are on the brink of potentially World War III, folks. That is not conjecture on my part. Things are so exacerbated between Russia and the West that may very well be the only option. That isn't even just my opinion anymore. I've been reading articles from top military analysts and people who have studied military operations and political goings-on their entire life, and they are of this opinion that we haven't been this close to a world war in literally decades. Even in my daily life, I try talking to people about what is going on between Russia and Ukraine, and they basically are oblivious to anything that I'm telling them. And I tell them that we could potentially be on the brink of World War III and perhaps even nuclear war. And they essentially just look at me with the 1,000-yard stare like I'm crazy. And then they say something along the lines of, "Oh, that'll never happen." Why will it never happen? Just because a nuclear bomb hasn't been used since World War II, how does that guarantee anything in the future? I don't see the correlation here. There is so much going on right now that it would be impossible for me to read you every article pertaining to what's going on, so I'm just going to have to more or less just give it to you, for the most part, in point form, if you will, but I'll expand as I deem necessary. Today, Sergei Lavrov and his counterpart to the United States, Anthony Blinken, are having one last and one final meeting. Both of these sides have gone into this meeting with quite a degree of cynicism, meaning that they even don't even think that anything will become of this meeting, given how far apart these two sides are on the key issue. The key issue being NATO expansion. Russia is of the mind that NATO cannot and will not expand anymore, particularly to any former Soviet states. Meanwhile, the United States and NATO is of the opinion, well, your opinion doesn't matter, Mr. Putin. We will expand as we see fit, independent of what Russia thinks. They see no point in going on with any more talks. From the Russian perspective, this is literally where they're at. At the end of this meeting, Russia expects to be handed a written guarantee that there will be no new NATO expansion, period. If they do not receive that, the diplomatic ties between Russia and the United States are basically over. Okay? We're in a new Cold War, essentially. I know a lot of people don't even know what the Cold War is, particularly younger people, but for you older folks who watch my channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. To anyone that's too young to know what the Cuban Missile Crisis was, there's plenty of videos here on YouTube to bring you up to speed what that was. This is essentially that times 10 is essentially where we're at right now. Because this, in all likelihood, is not just going to be a regional war between Ukraine and Russia, and it's going to stay there. I will bet dollars to donuts that if Mr. Putin moves on Ukraine almost simultaneously, China will move on Taiwan. There is so much news going on right now, folks. Even Israel and Iran. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if that snaps off simultaneously. So is that not a world war if we have 2-3 major conflicts in different parts of the world? Folks, this is exacerbating very quickly, okay? Very quickly. The United States has even gone as far as to say that war is imminent. Even Brandon Biden has said that. I mean, he made a gaffe the other day saying that the United States would tolerate minor incursions from Russia, and then he recanted on it the next day because he realized that he was just babbling, as he usually does. What you are looking at is recent pictures of Russian military bases near Ukraine as of a couple of days ago. And these pictures have more troops and more equipment than when these pictures were taken, say, about a month ago. So Russia is just beefing up its military on the border of Ukraine continuously, and it shows no sign of stopping. We are literally on the brink. The United States has even given other Baltic countries like Estonia and Latvia permission to donate any U.S. weapons that they have been given in the past to Ukraine to help them fight their impending war. That in itself is a move that is unprecedented by any other country on such short notice. The other day I read a report that the United States is now flying the E-6 Mercury plane 24 hours a day. For those of you who don't know what that is better known as the Doomsday plane, okay? The Doomsday plane is basically an aircraft that the United States only gets in the air when they fear that they are under imminent nuclear attack. Because that plane is designed to control the United States' nuclear arsenal, whether it be from the sea or the ground, right from that plane, in the event that STRATCOM here on the ground is destroyed. They have at least one of these planes in the air 24 hours a day now. That's where we're at, folks. That's how serious this really is. Now, this article is the very latest as I make this video about the talks between Antony Blinken and Sergei Lavrov. Ukraine tension. Urgent U.S.-Russia talks in Geneva as invasion fears grow. U.S. Secretary Antony Blinken and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met for talks in Geneva on Friday amid mounting fears that Russia could be about to invade Ukraine. This is a critical moment, Mr. Blinken said in his opening remarks. The U.S. and Russia don't expect to resolve our differences here today, he added, but hope to test whether diplomacy was still a viable option. Mr. Lavrov said Russia was not expecting a breakthrough in key talks. Moscow has 100,000 troops near its borders with Ukraine but denies planning to invade. Across the table in a luxury Swiss hotel, Mr. Blinken warned his Russian counterpart of a united, swift, and severe response if Russia did take that step. But the swift and severe response he's referring to are sanctions. Like here we have one side moving militarily and the other side threatening to punish them economically if they do so. Well, those two things aren't proportionate, folks. Do you think Russia is going to stop at Ukraine? If it completely steamrolls Ukraine, is it going to stop? No, I don't think so. Hitler didn't stop at Poland. Why should Putin stop at Ukraine? President Vladimir Putin has issued demands to the West which he says concerns Russia's security, including that Ukraine be stopped from joining NATO. He wants the Western Defensive Alliance to abandon military exercises and stop sending weapons to Eastern Europe, which Moscow sees as its backyard. The Kremlin spokesman said Russia was not expecting a written response to those red lines on Friday. A reply is expected next week, Russian media reported. Our proposals are extremely concrete, and we await equally concrete answers, Mr. Lavrov said as the talks got underway. So as you can see, folks, neither side is willing to budge. As I said earlier in this video, I would say that war is pretty much unavoidable right now. That's just my honest opinion. If you have a different opinion, please, I'm interested in the comments below. I love the comments, by the way, folks. Keep them coming. They are absolutely fantastic, and they give me an opportunity to interact with you as well as compare and contrast your thoughts on this situation with my own. I certainly will be keeping you up to date on this situation if things spiral wildly out of control, if you know what I mean. But I think it's very important at this time that you have your spiritual house in order. If you do not know the Lord Jesus, you should seek him while he still may be found, because tomorrow is not promised. Thank you so much for coming along with me to this very important update. Please share the video, folks. As I've indicated earlier, people are just so utterly oblivious to this situation. They need to be brought up to speed as to what's happening on the world stage. Until the next update, God bless.